So here, diving into the water like a great mountain, Lord Boar divided the middle of the ocean. So all the activities of the Lord are inconceivable, and Prabhupada criticized many times so-called many godmen who claim to be God, that Lord's activities are uncommon. Just like Krishna in Vrindavan lifted the Govardhan hill, and many other pastimes which, although people consider them as mythological stories, but these all are historical facts. So here, when the Lord Boar dived into the water, as if the ocean split into two. Two divided the middle of the ocean, and there was a big splash, and the two waves appeared as the arm of the ocean, and which cried loudly as if praying to the Lord. So basically, even the ocean got frightened, as if death were imminent. Generally, in ocean, if something falls, ocean is huge, miles and miles. So if something falls, even a plane falls, something falls, it's almost insignificant. Here, because the body of Boar was so huge that even the ocean got trembled. So the ocean, as if when these two big waves came, as if the ocean was divided into two parts, it was praying, "O Lord of sacrifice, please do not cut me into two. Kindly give me protection." So today I'll share with you some of the quotes of Prabhupada in various Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, different places, Prabhupada's conversation about protection. We as devotees also, we will come across many situations, circumstances when we'll be forced to depend on Lord. Otherwise, we think we are independent, we can do everything by our own self. In one sense, we are, only when there is very acute danger, we tend to go to the Lord. Otherwise, somehow in material world, everyone has learned to manage himself. But this Krishna conscious process is so wonderful that Krishna takes his devotees through various situations, various circumstances, and where, just like here, the ocean is begging Lord for the protection. There's a Hindi saying, "Dukh mein sumiran sab kahe, sukh mein sumiran kare na koi." So Krishna will take us through. If we don't remember Krishna or don't remember how to depend on Krishna, then such circumstances may also fall in our life when we'll be forced to beg Lord for protection. So the Lord protects everyone, but one who depends completely upon Him is especially looked after by the Lord. Krishna in the Gita says, "Samoham sarva bhutesu." I'm equal to everyone. I'm not partial. But then Prabhupada in the Purport mentions that although Krishna is equal to everyone, samoham, but especially to his devotee who is fully dependent on the Lord, he gives special protection. So it contradicts. On one side is I'm equal, and then for someone who is completely dependent on the Lord gives special protection, goes out of his way. Just like Krishna went out of his way to protect Arjuna in the battle of Kurukshetra. We all know that story of Bhishma, the 3 arrows, and then Bhishma had taken a vow that next day either Krishna has to break his vow or Arjuna will be killed. So Krishna protected both the vows of Bhishma, what he had taken, the commitment or resolution, and also protecting Arjuna, even at the cost of he lifting the weapons and breaking his own promise. So Prabhupada says the father is more attentive to the little son who is exclusively dependent on the father. You see, it has happened in our own lives. When the child is young, very young, few months, maybe even 1 year, 2 year, the mother is constantly conscious, अब उसको भूख लगी होगी. The child starts crying. The mother somehow figures out what the child is needing. So in other words, throughout the day and night, the mother is conscious of the child's need and is busy fulfilling that need. In fact, if the mother forgets to feed the child will keep crying. It has no other means to, get up, and I'm talking about a very young, few months old. No other means to get up and figure out where is prasadam. So now as we grow, what happens? We start, it's nature's way, we start becoming mature, we start making our own arrangements. And as much as we are making our own arrangements, that much attention of the mother starts decreasing. When a child is just 4 years old, just subah ka, breakfast, lunch, dinner, mother is a little bothered about. And the child starts going out, starts, having something with his friends, sometime in the house, sometime outside. So that way, proportionately, the mother also starts, ठीक है, बाहर गया है, कुछ खा के आएगा. So likewise, because the child is completely dependent on the mother, is completely thinking of Krishna. So same way, Krishna in the Gita says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajami. As you surrender, so shall I reciprocate. Krishna does not force. He has given us a free will. So if we are dependent on the Lord, if we are seeking His protection, if we are conscious of Him, mak chitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishasi. So then He will go out of the way to protect us. And sometimes devotees wonder, why did the Lord not protect? No doubt, sometimes the Lord will take us through different situations to teach us some lessons. In the material world, if some harm happens to us, some accident happens for a devotee, we cannot conclude that Krishna has not protected. We have our own understanding of what is protection. Protection means this body should be all fine, no fever, no diseases, nothing should happen to this material world. But Krishna's understanding of protection is completely different. From universal time scale, this body is just a blip, just like a bubble, for a few this thing. Are we really, if a bubble is there, the bubble comes and then it breaks, does it really make any sense to protect the bubble so that it doesn't break? It breaks after few more microseconds. Bubble comes, it is meant to break. So from Krishna's point of view, our life, this one life, this body is like a blip. For us, it's a big thing. And we, in illusion, in bodily concept of life, completely judge. So many people were bewildered when the floods came in Uttarakhand. Which was the exact place? Kedarnath. So many people were bewildered. I remember that was a time when online, I think, classes were happening. COVID time was there? Or
2013. June 2013.
so many people were asking this question, why it happened. After all, they were devotees. Why did the Lord not protect? So, if we are not having proper understanding about the Lord, His protection, then definitely wrong conclusion will come. I think I have shared one time there was one lady who used to regularly come to the temple, and we did not notice that she has stopped coming. So one day had gone to meet somebody, happened to, they said, आपकी जो हमारे पड़ोसी हैं वो भी आपके मंदिर आते रहते हैं. So as Padhyata, we walked into that house also. And then this lady opened the door. So I said, Hare Krishna, Mataji, बहुत दिनों पे आप आए नहीं मंदिर. Then she says, she says, प्रभु जी आप बस विश्वास टूट गया, अपने को भगवान से कुछ लेना देना नहीं. Shocked. And then I was a little curious, although she was not, in Indian that culture is there when a sadhu comes, even if you don't want to entertain, at least basic thing, you respect. So she invited me in, and then she said, Prabhuji, kya hai? Her husband had died in that air crash. Air India plane, there was a crash few years back. And he was in the thing. So he said, and then she started saying, उन्होंने कभी किसी का बुरा नहीं किया, कभी किसी का बुरा नहीं सोचा. क्यों भगवान ने उनके साथ ऐसा किया? कहाँ हैं भगवान ऐसे? पूरा विश्वास टूट गया है. And then she was sobbing and crying and difficult to reconcile. So unless we have strong foundation of Krishna consciousness, that's why sometimes when people have sentimental understanding of Krishna consciousness, they come to wrong conclusions. Just like you see Pandavas, how much trials, tribulations, sufferings they went through. But their faith in Krishna is increasing more and more. So Krishna also does not give untimely tests, but sometimes if we are not sincere, we have very superficial understanding, we're practicing but for some ulterior motive, then we can be shaken and some test will come, we'll fall apart. When we think of our kith and kin as being helpless and dependent on us, it is all due to ignorance. Every living creature is allowed all protection by the order of the Supreme Lord in terms of each one's acquired position in the world. Now, this is something which is applicable to all of us. In the material world, we all have come together as relatives, friends, acquaintances. Bhagavatam gives 3 wonderful examples to explain this association. Can anyone tell me what are the 3 examples? 3 comparisons.
Straw in the river.
Straw in the river. When the river's wave comes, the straws floating, they come together for a while, then the wave goes away, the straws segregate. So all relatives, friends, and we have seen in our life, 10th, for whole schooling we studied together till 10th, batchmates, schoolmates, and then go to college, all separate. Then college 2 years together, then go to different engineering college, different other colleges, separate. Then 4 years in the college, 5 years together, then again separate. So this human life is nothing but what we have experienced 4 years, 2 years, 10 years. It's a little longer version of that. So one is the straws floating in the river. What is the second one? Travelers in the motel. They all come together, stay for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, and then they all check out and go in different direction. Third one? Jail. Any other example? Anybody else? Huh? Going for Vrindavan trip as yatris. 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, you're together, one group photos, right? And then the trip ends, everyone segregates. I'm not able to, frankly speaking, recollect the third one. There is another one which is there in the Bhagavatam. I remember having made notes. Three, this thing. One was straw, one was traveler in the inn. Third, I am not able to recollect. So, so these relationships are temporary, but in bodily concept of life, we get sucked into that relationship. That's why Bhagavatam is Deha Apta Kalatradishu Atma Saineshva Asatswapi. Deha Apta, relatives. Kalatradishu, Kala means wife, Adishu means like this, the whole relatives, friends, acquaintances, family members. Deha Apta Kalatradishu Atma Saineshu. We have that feeling that this is like a Sainya, soldiers. Just like just like India now, it has a lot of military power. It has bought latest fighter jets. So there is some sense of this thing that now any fight happens, we can protect. We have nuclear arms. So this is at a national level. Individually also, when relatives are there, bank balance is there, insurance policy is there, LIC is there, good house is there, relatives are there. So there is a satisfaction, I am safe. When anything happens, I can afford 10 lakh, 15 lakh ka treatment, operation. You see these days, people, they cannot afford treatment, so they die. Big operation comes, they cannot afford. In India, so many people are like that. But then you can have a satisfaction. No, I have money. I have 20 lakh insurance. And we have ancestral home, we have property, we have assets, we have near and dear ones. So this can give us that I am safe. What Bhagavatam is saying, Deha Apta Kalatradishu Atma Saineshu Asatsapi. This Atma Sainya, which gives us some kind of a satisfaction that I am safe, is Asat. When the real time comes, when we are on the verge of death, then the Sainya will run away. Run away not literally. I think I've shared here my closest uncle. He was in Delhi. He retired from a very, very big public sector company as a very senior director. I remember when we were in childhood, we used to go to their home during vacations. Big palatial house and, servants, all facilities. So after retirement, they came to Delhi. And they have 2 daughters. One of the daughter is a doctor from AIIMS. And the son-in-law is also from AIIMS. So both doctors. So generally in earlier times there was bigger families. So my mother's side, they have 5-6 brothers. So he was diagnosed with some pancreatic cancer. He was about 65, post-retirement. And now, you see, money-wise not an issue. Own house in Delhi. Family members are doctors. AIMS, supposed to be the best. Or so, materially speaking, it's well situated to get cured and recover fast. Money is not an issue. Treatment is not an issue. So I've seen with my own eyes. So a time came and he became so weak. Different medications, steroids, different things were given. Then chemotherapy, radiation, all that. And finally, they had to operate. Big operation, 9 hours operation. The operation was successful. He came home, but a lot of pain, and he was bedridden. Somebody was attending to him for all the daily ablutions, urination, toilet, it's all in the bed. Somebody attending to it 24 hours. We can't afford. We can afford. So months passed by after the operation, after all this. And then one day, he and all the brothers, sisters, they have taken turns. Okay, 2 months I will be with, 1 month I will be there. So they are taking leave from their offices, wherever they are working, different places, and coming and staying with him to, give him support, moral support, be with him, to help him. Although the family also is there. So this went on for a few months. My mother also went for 2 months. And then he was supposed to go to the doctors to check up. This was the time when he was not bedridden. He was going to the hospital for all the different treatments. So he, on a routine day, he went for the checkup. And after he was coming out of the room, the doctor's room, because of that chemotherapy, radiation and all that thing, the body had become so weak that the person who was attending to him, he came out of the doctor's room, and the door, we have that hydraulic, automatic door closer. So he was just walking it, the door came behind. Just little, not that with a bang, just a little. He could not balance himself, fell. And because the bones were big and the body was completely this thing, multiple fractures on this pelvic area. And then again, few operations. And after that, he was bedridden because this whole thing was operated. He was very weak, cannot walk. This went on for a few months, I think 9 months, 10 months. Everyone was there. Money was there, doctors were there, AIMS was there. All the relatives were there. They were all coming. They were all with him. And he's shrieking in pain, intolerable. And then finally, after 10 months, 12 months, he passed away. So this was right in front of where you have deha aptakalatrade. This Bhagavatam, I came later on, this understanding, but with my eyes, everything is there. You are rich, you have money, you have doctors, you have insurance policy, you have well-wishers, you have relatives. Everything is there, but day after day, your body is falling apart. So that's what Bhagavatam is saying. Now, it may not be so drastic like this for everyone, but this is a reality. In COVID time, people got some trailers, some glimpses of it. So, there was one very big doctor in Delhi, Dr. Agarwal. He was a very big cardiologist. And he used to regularly, during COVID time, every day he would, give this is what people should do, what precautions they should take, how they should protect themselves. And his YouTube channel was very, very popular. Many videos were in millions of views. because of how you have to sanitize, how you have to do this thing. And he was also, leading from the front, being a doctor. He was trying to help people, disseminate information. We should like this. We should protect like this. I remember I used to also, because that time we were in Mumbai, so I used to also watch some videos and help devotees. Okay, we should do this. These are the do's and don'ts. And then sad news, we got to know that he also got COVID and he died. So when we think of our kith and kin as being helpless and dependent on us, it is all due to ignorance. In illusion, we think we are safe. In illusion, we also think that we can save others. Every living creature is allowed all protection by the order of the Supreme Lord in terms of each one's acquired position in the world. So we have so many things which we are not able to see. Our karmic bank account. What is Krishna wanting to teach us? We have a false sense that we are in control. We will plan our life the way we want. We'll plan our protection. We'll plan protection of others. So this material world is very nicely designed. That's why Krishna in the Gita says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanvan mam prapadyante. We will not learn through shastras, but this material nature, this material world will teach us through experience. So that's why he says, Bahunam janma. We can learn this, come to this realization in one life, if we understand shastras and all. Otherwise, life will teach us that how we are helpless, how we are insignificant, how everything is not in our control. To spread the Krishna consciousness movement, devotees have to face many dangers and impediments all over the world. But a faithful servant who preaches with great devotion to the Lord must know that Lord Nrsimhadev is always the protector. So this we should learn, actually, just like we're saying, the devotee should have different projects. Internal growth means where we are learning to depend on Krishna, seek Krishna's protection. This dependence on Krishna, the faith, avashya rakshevi Krishna I vishvasa palana, this faith is not something which we can mug up. Mug up in the sense, many times somebody was telling me, he knows all 700 verses of the Gita. Yes, devotees can memorize 700 verses. If you memorize few shlokas in a week, in few weeks, few months, you can memorize the whole Gita. To realize even one verse, it can be a lifetime project. So we should also not be in illusion just because we have memorized Gita or we have read Gita many times or we have by heart the purport, we have understood Gita. In fact, it's a fact that more we understand, the more we understand that we don't understand. Many learned people are humble. Many learned. No doubt there are opposite also. Einstein was once asked, not Einstein, it was Newton. He was once asked, when he was towards the end of his life, you must be dying like a very contented man because you have unearthed so many mysteries, so many inventions to your credit, Newton's law of motion, all that. So you must be really dying with a lot of contentment, satisfaction. You've added so much value, you've done so much thing, you've made so much of a difference. You must be dying with a lot of contentment. So Newton replied, I am like a child standing on the shore of a mighty ocean. What I have picked up is few pebbles, and the entire ocean lies in front of me unexplored. This is words of Newton. Just like you go to ocean, you can pick up some sand, you can pebble some this thing. Huge ocean. You can collect some water also. So he says, I am like a child standing on the ocean who has picked up few pebbles, and the whole big ocean is lying in front of me unexplored. It's a fact. We have barely understood what is there in this planet Earth. Barely trying to understand. See how big news, Chandrayaan. Barely gone to the moon. So, Prabhupada, gone to the moon, that also is a separate this thing. But so much is unexplored. How insignificant we are compared to the huge creation. So when a genuine scientist who understands this thing, who's little God, can understand that, what we have figured out, what we have understood is insignificant, very small. So they cannot be proud. Pride comes out of arrogance, out of ignorance. So I was talking about realization. So by rote memory, by memorizing, by knowing, by studying, one necessarily does not get a realization. Once there was a person, he was traveling, he stayed overnight in one hotel. And it was night time, so he checked into his room, and just outside the room, he saw one bird in a cage. It was a peacock. The cage outside his room, not like typical hotels here, some countryside. Garden was there and there was a cage, bird was there. So when he was trying to sleep in the night in the room, he heard the peacock, this parrot, saying, "Freedom, freedom, freedom, freedom." So this person, first he could not sleep night time, and he was a freedom fighter also. So freedom was, he understood the meaning of freedom, what it takes to be free. So he felt pity for the bird. He says, this poor fellow, he's been encaged and he's seeking freedom. So let me help. So he went out of the room, went near the cage, and the bird is very freedom, freedom, freedom. So he said, don't worry, I'm here. I'll give you freedom, what you are, this thing. Don't worry. So he opened the cage. It was, some kind of a lock was there, and he managed to open it. He says, I'll give you freedom. And opened the cage. And he put his hand to catch hold of the bird so that it can give freedom. So the moment he put the hand, the bird started picking on the hand. And got frightened and was behind the cage, going back of the cage. The door is open, he's trying to put his hand and it's pecking on the hand. So what is this? The cage is open, the door is open, now go. But the bird is saying freedom, freedom, and just sticking onto the cage. Then he said, I will not leave you like that, I'll give you freedom. So he caught hold of the bird by force, pulled it out, go now you're free. So the bird started flying and went off. So he came back to his room, slept very peacefully, with the satisfaction that I gave freedom to the bird who was desperately looking for freedom. So he slept, got very good sleep. Next day morning, got up after good sleep, fresh, with the contentment, satisfaction. Yesterday night I did some good, great deed. And then when he comes out of the room, the bird is inside the cage. The door is open. And the bird is saying, freedom, freedom, freedom. So our memorization of many verses. क्या लेके आए थे, क्या लेके जाएंगे, खाली हाथ आए थे, खाली हाथ, सबको पता है. It's like that. The bird saying freedom and actual is not telling. It doesn't mean what it is saying. So likewise, our action, you're not the body. You're Atma, your spirit soul. Atma is eternal, body is temporary. But our actions is not tallying with what we are saying. Our actions prove that we are body. Our actions prove that we core solidly, निष्ठा के साथ believe करते हैं कि I am the body. And this nishtha, this doesn't come by rote memory, by memorization. It comes by divya gyan hridaya prakashita. Krishna, Prabhupada, they have to bless us with the divya gyan. A person could be illiterate, that's why that South Indian Brahmana, he was illiterate, but he was blessed with the divya gyan. He was crying when he was reading Gita, although he was an illiterate. And if we don't get Divya Gyan, we can memorize the whole thing. That's why Prabhupada used to criticize professional reciters. So we have to be very sure. We should not by the number of years we are in the movement, not by how many books we have read. That should not give us some kind of a pride. I am 20 years. I have completed Bhagavatam 5 times. Do we have those deeper realizations? Are we walking the talk? Are we demonstrating those things in our lives? That is what we should be introspective. We should analyze. We should be aware. When danger comes, whom am I depending on? I may go to the doctor, but where is the faith? Full faith is on the doctor. Many times people go to the doctor. Doctor sahab, aap Bhagwan ho mere liye. There was one another relative of ours. He's a doctor. He's a surgeon. He says many people, when he retired, many people came with gifts and bouquets and this thing. Doctor sahab, aapne hamara dusra जीवन दिया है. You have saved our life. And it's a fact. Some very complicated surgery he did, and they saved the lives. But do we believe that? There may be instance, complicated surgery, some doctor really saved, or some accident, somebody helped us. So we should have that faith. Finally, it is avashya rakshivi Krishna, mare Krishna rakhe ke, rakhe Krishna mare ke. So that faith, that conviction, that nishtha, that divya gyan, it is a blessing. It comes when we sincerely serve, when we sincerely follow the process, not by just merely memorizing some verse. So we'll stop here. Anyone has any question? Anything you'd like to ask?
So, as you said that as we become mature in our devotional service also, we start making our own arrangement. Like
Not mature in devotional service. I said about as we grow.
As we grow.
You see, when we were child, we were completely dependent on mother. Mother was constantly thinking of our needs. But now mother may not be thinking of your need. Aapne subah kya khaya? Because mother knows that he is independent. He must have eaten. Yeah.
So, I correct myself. So, that as we become grow and age-wise senior in Krishna consciousness, not advancing in Krishna consciousness, but we start making our own arrangement, like to manage things in our own way. So, how to avoid this in Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, as we grow in Krishna consciousness, we'll get more independence, we'll get more power, right? So we have to be very, very alert that we don't misuse that. And also, when we are growing externally, simultaneously it has to be balanced with internal growth. Otherwise, we may grow externally in an institution where name, fame, power, position, everything will come. Senior devotee, 20 years, 25 years. But if internally for some reason we have not grown, then we'll not be able to handle it. And we'll get contaminated. If internal growth is there, then you see what our Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying. What the Goswamis are saying. I am worse than Jagai and Madai. What different acharyas have sung in their songs. Otherwise, we may say, no, I am servant of Vaishnavas, Daso Asmi. In all email we'll write, your servant. It will be like that, freedom only. So internal growth is very important. And it doesn't happen, yes, it happens automatically also if we sincerely follow the process, but carefully analyze, carefully introspect. Suppose some accident, whom am I dependent? If I'm going to a doctor, where is my faith? Whom I am giving credit to? Sometimes even donors, yes, we have to cultivate vyavharik level, yes, we have to do our duty, we have to, but sometimes we can get in, उन्होंने मंदिर बनाया. We may even make that statement just a little bit eulogize. ना आपका बहुत योगदान रहा है, आप बड़े डोनर हैं, आपने हेल्प किया, but to genuinely believe कि आपने बनाया मंदिर. So these are all things if we little bit. I was reading an article which says, there's a saying, practice makes a man perfect. How many of us agree with this? Practice makes a man perfect. Huh? Practice?
Makes improvements.
Yeah. Right practice makes a man perfect. Wrong practice makes a man. If we inattentively chant every day and practice inattentive, for example, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, you will become perfect in this. Perfectly inattentive chanting. So they say that it is not just the practice, it is learning from what you did right, learning from what you did wrong. That makes a man perfect. When you practice, from your victory also you can learn, from your defeat also you can learn. Then that practice will make you perfect. If today you are not able to chant attentively, then you introspect, why did I not chant properly? And you try to practice by the learnings which you have got. Try to practice with this thing and constantly you keep practicing. The day you chanted nicely, repeat that. The day you chanted wrongly, avoid that. Keep practicing like this with this iteration. Then you will become perfect. Otherwise, who knows, by mistake you are chanting, partly you are missing one word. You will become perfect in missing that word. stop your Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.